Welcome, everybody. Well, today we're going to be talking about an interesting topic. It's going to be the single most important step in reuniting with your child, and it is not what you think it is. Just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Andrew Faulkner. I was alienated from my mother for right about 12 and a half, maybe close to 13 years. The alienation took place when I was about 5 years old, and I didn't reunite until I was right about 18. So a lot of the experience and understanding that I have is what I often share with parents. And more importantly, I also share like the different strategies and things that I've done to help myself recover and heal from this entire ordeal. I would like to very quickly share that all of this is made possible thanks to Ginger Gentile's reversing parental alienation program, in particular the roadmap program. So if you are interested in learning more about that, learning more about the coaching program that she has to offer, I would highly recommend checking the pinned comment below, connect, and then it'll automatically give you a link that you can use to register for the program. Or I mean, I think the link, if I remember correctly, is reversingparentalalienation.com/roadmap. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited. I'm excited to get started. Most alienated parents, when they are faced with the challenge of being separated from their kids, they tend to react in a certain number of ways, right? There's some parents, the anxiety will become overwhelming. They start to make a lot of impulsive decisions. They might say things that are emotionally charged, and it makes their child becomes more and more resistant to reconnecting. Some parents are caught in analysis paralysis. They freeze, they procrastinate, and after so many failures, they don't even have the heart to get rejected another time. And the unfortunate thing with that is it's also a negative feedback loop, right? Because the longer you wait to reach out, the worse you feel about not doing anything. But then when you muster up the courage to do something, then you tell yourself, well, I'm just going to get rejected anyway, right? And it becomes cyclical. Some parents will try to assert their authority. They'll say things like, I am your parent. You need to listen to me. And unfortunately for them, they find themselves not having any sort of power because their kid is just straight up ignoring them. There's just no respect in that sense. And I've also seen some parents who, when they're dealing with alienation, they get frustrated and well, for lack of better words, they dig their heels in and they adopt what I would call a Marilyn Monroe mindset. Marilyn Monroe is really famous for her line, if you can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. And the thing is, like, I don't think that's a good mindset to adopt when it comes to trying to reconnect with your child. If you tell your child something along the lines of like, well, I am who I am, and if you can't accept that, that's not my problem. I can't think of how that would be beneficial to anyone. So these are some of the commonalities that you might see, and it creates a lot of frustration because then parents come to me, they come to Ginger, they might go to other coaches or they might even talk to other alienated kids, and then they're like, "What do I do? Nothing I do works. I can't figure it out." And so here's the thing: most parents think there's this specific step, there's a specific thing they need to do or say that's related to their kids. And often they're also thinking about, well, my ex put me through all this abusive and toxic stuff that just almost, ruined me. I can't imagine my child living with someone like that every day. What are they going through? And the parents are on edge. They're incredibly anxious, and so they're doing all this research on parental alienation and narcissism, mental and personality disorders, and countless other things. And they take this knowledge, and then sometimes they'll try and logically explain to their child that their anger and their frustration towards them is misguided, and that's when they get shut out completely, and child just wants nothing to do with them. So leading into the main title of our topic, what's the single most important step when reuniting with your child? And I'm going to tell you, it's not reading about alienation, and it's not explaining the truth to your kid. It's not even anything related to dealing with your kid. The single most important step is grounding yourself, getting yourself grounded and stable enough so that way, when you are able to reach out to your kid, you're not on shaky foundations. Now, you might hear that. Some parents might hear that, and they're going to be like, Andrew, I'm doing just fine. I need to focus on my kid. And, I'm going to tell you, I hear you. I understand. There was a point in my life where I felt the same way. And I'm going to tell you that reconnecting with your kid is more than just talking to your child on a regular basis. Reuniting means that you are able to give all of the best parts of yourself and able to support them on all aspects of their life, right? And the thing is, there's no doubt that the divorce, the alienation process, anything related to the family court, and all of that ugliness has, to some degree, affected you, is shaken you, caused you to feel frustrated and doubt yourself and all of those things. You may be questioning your identity. You might feel lesser because you don't have the same opportunities as a typical parent. And all of those emotions are valid. And it's important to work through those emotions first before you focus on the emotions of your child and before you focus on helping them uh, deal with their alienation. And again, you might be thinking, well, why would I want to do this first? The thing is, when you're an alienated parent, you need to make sure that you are creating a home that will be very inviting to that child, because the child is going to look at you from a very distorted lens. The child is going to be told so many bad things about you that they're going to take the most smallest and insignificant things and turn them into mountains. Like they're going to turn an anthill into a mountain. And they're going to say things that are that may come across as rude and obnoxious and frankly maybe not even any of their business. And the thing is like all of that is meant to, in a way, test the waters, right? They're poking your soft spots to see if it's safe to be around you. And if you come across as calm, collected, and composed, if you come across as understanding and empathetic, then it's not the reaction that they're going to be expecting, right? They're going to be expecting you to be this angry, belligerent monster that their alienator has painted you as, right? But if you show up as someone who has control over everything that's going on within yourself, then it's going to feel they're going to be confused. They're going to try and understand what's going on. Like my parent just like pretending, or are they actually doing well? What's going on? And with all of that said, when they spend time with you, there's you have to minimize the number of potential alarm bells that might go off in their head. And unfortunately, that puts a very high standard onto you. And I understand that sometimes that in itself can be really frustrating. Especially if you have to be a paragon of virtue and a paragon of, stability, that's a lot of pressure. And I respect the parents that are actively pursuing that. The thing is, like, unfortunately, you have an ex who has probably participated, who's probably doing some sort of character assassination on you. And oftentimes when it comes to character assassination, they're saying things that are so shocking that the kid or just people in the community are going to be saying, well, nobody would joke about something like this, so it must be true. And that's just how those really horrible rumors spread around, right? And it can be hard because especially if this is spread within a community, you get this like community gaslight effect where everybody thinks something false of you, and you're the one left questioning yourself, wondering like, why does everyone believe something so horrible and so untrue about me? Right? You might be called promiscuous or an adulteress. You might be called crazy or an insane, belligerent and abusive, addicted and heavily medicated, uncaring, manipulative, and so many more other horrible insults, right? And So your child is going to come from a place of saying, okay, my parent is the devil incarnated, and I have to go into their home. How do I protect myself as best as I can? So when from that lens, you can see that your child is in survival mode, right? Your child is not being mean to you because they hate you. They're being mean to you because they're scared of you. The thing is like they're in a fearful state of mind. It's not, and so the anger is all a ruse, so to speak. The anger is a way of protecting themselves from the thing that they're most afraid of. Now, I want to circle back to the whole idea of grounding yourself because I really want to hone in on this because it's one of those things where it's so easy to tell people, I'll be fine. I'm a tough guy. I can handle it. I need to worry about other people first. I want to use the analogy of a broken arm. Okay. I would like you to imagine that you have a broken arm and you tell everyone, I'm not going to go to the hospital just yet. My child has a broken arm, so I'm not going to go to the hospital. And you just let that broken arm swell and get purple and all of that, and that's that. And you just tell yourself that's it. I'll go to the hospital eventually, but my kid's got a broken arm. I should focus on my kid's broken arm first. And here's the thing, like, physical pain, it can stop us from doing things. So we've learned as a society, as human beings, we've learned how to treat injuries like broken bones very quickly. But the thing is, like, mental and emotional pain, we don't really learn how to manage that very well. More often than not, we kind of just figure it out as we go. In some cases, you might learn a few tricks here and there from self-help experts and therapists or our coaches, etc. But we're still kind of just figuring it out as we go. So I want you to imagine you've got your broken arm, right? And you haven't gotten it treated, you haven't gotten your arm adjusted, so it's not on the mend at all. And somebody goes to give you a hug, okay? And they give you a big hug, they squeeze you really hard, and they squeeze that broken arm. Now, you're going to feel this sharp pain, you're going to wince, you're going to shout and be like, well, why would you do that? And the truth is, the person that was trying to give you a hug wasn't trying to hurt you. They were coming from a place of love. They just probably didn't know your arm was broken, right? So I want you to replace the broken arm with the mind, right? If the mind has been traumatized, if the mind has experienced pain, and you're telling yourself that I don't need to deal with this, I don't need to work through these emotions, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a triggers, right? Something's going to go out, something's going to happen. It's going to provoke you in a way that makes you feel like you're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode and you're trying to reconnect with your child, it becomes infinitely harder to reconnect because your kid is going to see you in survival mode. They're going to match your energy and they're going to be terrified because they're going to think that, well, maybe it's true. Maybe my mom or dad is crazy. Maybe my mom or dad is abusive. Maybe they are an alcoholic or whatever insults or accusations have been made against you. So, with that said, you want to make sure that you're able to stay in an executive state of mind, in a logical, stable, emotionally mature state of mind, even when those triggers come at you, even when someone says something insulting or says something aggressive or hurtful towards you. You want to show up in a way that will uh, show that you are in command, you are in charge here. And the fastest way to lose your power as an individual, the fastest way to lose your influence in the room is to lose yourself, I should say, to the emotions in reaction to somebody else. And more importantly, I want to add in this bit is that when your child's in survival mode, they need you as an anchor. They need you to be calm and relaxed to kind of pull them out of survival mode into a state of emotional balance. And if you're responding in a way where your pain and trauma has been triggered and you're feeling like you're in survival mode, if you respond that way, they're going to view that reaction as a rejection of the child. The child's going to feel rejected because you reacted in a way that escalated instead of de-escalated the conflict. One thing that's important to remember, and again, this is just the challenge that comes with this, is that your child's brain is not fully developed until their mid-20s, which means that their capacity for understanding complex emotions is incredibly limited. Um, Obviously, the closer they are to 20, the better, the easier it is for you. But like the younger your child is, the more you have to understand that they cannot function like an emotionally mature adult. They just don't have the apparatus, like their brain hasn't evolved enough to do so. And they don't have the life experience to contextualize what's happening to them. So for them, their feeling in survival mode is just a function of what's available to them within their own brain. And it's unfair, again, to expect them to feel to you can't expect a 10-year-old to have the emotional maturity of a 20-year-old. And likewise, you can't expect them to be as mature as anyone older than that, which is why you have to set an example, right? You have to be the foundation they can stand on because they already have a wobbly and unstable life with their alienator. The alienator does that on purpose. It's by design because when they're in survival mode, they're a lot easier to control. And so more often than not, the child is coming to you, seeing you as the source of all their pain and frustration. And they in a way, they're blaming you for all the instability in their home life right now. And it's just because they're feeling overwhelmed. So when they see you as someone grounded and collected, you're more capable at getting them to mellow out and balance their emotions so that you can actually have a real conversation with them instead of the standard, like, I hate you, I don't want to ever talk to you again, please leave me alone, don't come to my events, yada yada yada. Because there's going to be times where you might be able to pierce through that veil. You might be able to bring them down from a state of anger to a state of at least willing to listen. And the thing is, that's when you can show them, that's when you can show your child that you are not the monster that they think you are. But you can't get to that point until you are able to de-escalate any of these conflicts, until you're able to really show them that you are in control, completely aligned. Grounding yourself, it comes down to two things, right? You got to really align yourself. You got to really understand who you are as a person, and you need to really understand who you are within the context of a community. And I say both because the reality is we're humans, we're social beings, we need people and we thrive in being social. You can't be a hermit in the mountains and say, I hate people and never want to talk to anyone again. That's not going to work, right? That's not going to help you reconnect with your kid. But you also cannot be somebody who is always with a group of friends and saying something like, I cannot be alone with my thoughts because I will hate myself. You need to be in a place where you're able to be comfortable and understand who you are as a person, and also recognize what are the challenges that you have, what are the flaws that you want to build upon, so that way you can become the best version of yourself. Because that's what life is all about, right? Life is all about exploring our purpose, which is the community element, and also becoming the best versions of ourselves. And if you can just focus your mind on how do I be a better version of myself from compared to yesterday, and you just take small little incremental steps, and you just keep working at it, you will eventually get to a point where you're going to look back 5-10 years from now and realize that the person you were then and the person you are now has grown tremendously. Within the context of a community, of course, it's going to be also very similar. You want to show people that you are not the person that chances are your ex has told them you are. And the easy way to do that is to continuously show up as your best self, and continuously show up in service of others and helping other people. And as you slowly build up your reputation, people are going to look at you and be like, this person, is a really good guy, really good girl, really good person. It just doesn't make sense to me that they would do something like that. I feel like there's something fishy here. I feel like something's not true here. And then they're gonna, as they get to know you, as they get to realize that, they will slowly realize the truth. And because it's gonna be about your actions more so than what other people say. Those are the two things I really wanted to highlight today. So I hope that is helpful to you. I hope that you are able to at least have a first step if you're in the process of trying to reunite. Of course, I just want to reiterate a lot of what Ginger teaches as far as grounding yourself goes will help you in the process of creating a foundation that you can stand on. So her program will provide a lot of insight on that. I will be continuing this conversation in her coaching program. You can join today. All you have to do is just register for the program. It's to just comment below. I believe you have to write connect, and this will get you a chance to join the conversation. You can also register for the program on www.reversingparentalalienation.com/roadmap. And that way you can also learn all the other things that Ginger has to offer. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my presentation. We've got about 3 minutes left. I'm going to have to hop off pretty soon to join the coaching call. Just really quickly, shaky foundations is when, if we're talking in context of the parent that's a victim of parental alienation, shaky foundations means that it could be anything from financial instability because you've paid so much money into the family court system or lawyers or whatever. It could be emotional instability, where you might feel triggered or afraid of um, doing things that you would normally be willing to do. It could be instability in the sense of your living conditions. Maybe, again, that might be a financial thing, but if you're in a position where things are not stable within your own home, then you're going to need to address that first before you start addressing the challenges with your kid. It could be within your own health. Maybe the anxiety and the stress has taken a toll on your health, and you need to make sure that you are medically sound first before you are able to reach out to your kid. So there's a lot of different ways that can go. In context for the child, I mean, the child is in a state of survival mode because the parent is subjecting them through a lot of gaslighting, manipulation, etc. So I think that wraps me up. But overall, thank you so much for joining me. Once again, if you're interested, join the program. I've been a big supporter of Ginger since even when she was filming Erasing Families. So lots of love to Ginger. And I think she's already reunited 6 families. So, and it can only go up from here. I'm really excited for her, and I'm always happy to support her. So, with that said, I just want you all to know, appreciate you for joining me today. It won't be the last time you see me, so stay tuned for that.